Hello, this video has been the product of a ridiculous amount of grinding and optimization. I'm going to be showing off a Kirara burst comp, main DPS comp, and a free-to-play / 4-star option using no 5-star weapons or characters to run Kirara as a DPS. Starting off, we're going to be taking a look at the nuke comp. Here we have Kirara, who's going to be running a 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Noblesse set with an attack percent Sands, crit rate Circlet, and dendro percent Goblet. I have her on the Raku Misugiri for that 32% normal attack bonus and 48% elemental skill damage bonus when Albedo uses his elemental skill. And I'm mostly using it because it's a crit damage stat stick. The best in slot for this composition is going to be the Mist Splitter with stacks applied on it, but I do not have it, and it will essentially double her damage in this setup. Her crit rate over crit damage is 534 to 47 with a CV of 44%, and her skills are 3-11-11. Next up in the team, we have Albedo, who's going to be running the 4-piece Millilith set with 3000 defense in rotation, and he's going to give a 20% attack buff to the team on elemental skill every 0.5 seconds for 3 seconds, and that is going to get triggered. Now, he also uses the Peak Patrol, which increases elemental damage bonus by 24% since he has 3000 defense in rotation. His talents, I have him at 188. Next up in the comp is Bennett, who runs 4-piece Noblesse with 844 base attack. When he bursts with Noblesse, he gives a 20% team-wide attack buff. I'm running him on Aquila Fav only for the base attack. There are other great options for him as well, like Mist Splitter, which has a high base attack. I currently have his talents 4, 6, and 11. Finally, we have Mona to cap things off, who are running with the 4-piece Deepwood set, which gives a Dendro Res Shred of 30% for 8 seconds on target. Now, this is procced when elemental skills or bursts hit targets. I am using the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers on her for that 48% attack buff, and her skills are 188. For this rotation, you're going to want to use Albedo's elemental skill, and then hit 3 normal attacks to proc Peak Patrol Song, and then Bennett's ultimate, or elemental burst, then Mona's burst. This will set up nicely so that Mona's burst is on whatever target you're focusing on, so then it will deal extra damage when Kirara uses her burst. From there, you can just keep that rotation going, and it should be pretty easy as long as you have enough energy recharge. The next team we're looking at is a spread DPS team. The only change that we're making is taking Mona out and putting Kuki Shinobu in, who will run the Deepwood defense set with, not the Deepwood defense set. She's going to run the Deepwood set with her defense as high as possible because we're going to run Peak Patrol Song on her. I would like to keep around 2000 defense on her, and her skills right now are 196. Skill level and HP percent on artifacts do not matter too much because she's not going to be dealing damage in this scenario. She's mostly going to be used as kind of just a spread enabler. The rotation is going to be Albedo elemental skill, then 3 normal attacks with him. Then we're going to take Kuki, use her elemental skill, and then do 3 normal attacks with her. That way we proc Deepwood and we proc Peak Patrol with those normal attacks. Then we'll go into Bennett elemental burst, and then Kirara elemental burst, then Kirara elemental skill, and you can on-field Kirara for as long as those buffs last. For the 4-star and free-to-play options, I will not be running this team as I don't have the proper sets to showcase them, but I will show the simulated damage calculations on screen for the 4-star and free compositions at the end of this. As far as Kuki goes, we're going to be taking her with Dory, or swap, depending on who's free or who's not. Dory is free. Kuki will want to run the Iron Sting on 4-piece Tenacity of the Millilith with as much HP as possible because this will allow her to service more as a healer, and it doesn't really affect team-wide damage too much. You're able to do it because you're not running Peak Patrol Song. Now, if you're also running Fischl in the team, which I'll get to later because Fischl is also free, then use Dory. Run her on HP percent for healing, and you will want to run Dory on 4-piece Deepwood, since her elemental skill and burst will proc Deepwood's elemental resistance shred bonus. Next, you have Bennett, who is a free 4-star character who will use Noblesse. I would prioritize using Sapwood Blade or Prototype Rancor on him for the high base attack. They are the highest base attack 4-star free weapons available. And Sapwood Blade tends to be better because of the energy recharge substat. Now, if you're going for the free comp, you'll want to use Fischl, with Dory. If you're going for the non-free comp, then Sarah's going to be the next best option. Sarah is going to run the Deepwood set with the highest base attack weapon that you can find. Best is typically going to be End of the Line, which is a fishing weapon, and it is also free. With its ER substat, she's typically starving for it because her burst is a high-cost burst. It's right around 80, and you're going to want to run the Prototype Amber on her since it holds the same base attack as the End of the Line, if you can't find something that's kind of comparable, if you don't want to fish. Since only base attack really matters with Sarah's scaling, I would just recommend as much ER or Elemental Mastery as possible for her and the team. Now, if you're using Fischl because you want to run a free comp, then I would use a 4-piece Millilith and any bow of your preference, typically also trying to go off of as much ER or EM as possible. You can customize the artifacts as much as you'd like. And Kirara in this setup, we're going to keep her the same, except for weapons. We're going to want to take a look at Sapwood, Festering Desire, Iron Sting, the Flute of Sender, and Sack Sword if you don't want a free option. That is also another great 4-star option to get her going in rotation. They all have high base attack. They all service as energy recharge or elemental mastery swords, so they're all really great. I'm going to be voicing over some of this Abyss gameplay here, so we're just going to start off with our opening rotation, just trying to get, all of our skills procced here, throw down our burst. You can see there it wasn't a crit, but it's still a pretty fast rotation, getting through all of the characters, and then you can go back and open with Albedo and Kuki's ults. Trying to come through, you're seeing a lot of good passive aggravate and spread damage coming from Kirara's skill. I like to just quick swap into her, but, in terms of overall DPS, it's better if you just ride around in her little cat form like that, because it will proc more aggravates and spreads. I've seen it get up to around 11 to 13k, right in that region. For here, this is going to be the last burst cycle I show. We'll see Albedo come through, Kuki, Bennett, and then Kirara getting up to 112 in the not nuke comp. Next up here, we're going to have another rotation. I'm going to show you what a non-crit looks like, but what's nice about this rotation is that we're going to end up seeing that the passive damage from the burst after the fact still ends up doing quite a bit of damage. So we're up against these hilly churls here that don't have any type of resistances, so they're a good damage test at a high level in Abyss 12. So we're just going to walk through the rotation, make it nice and simple. You see the 22k there, spread aggravate, which is perfect. I'm just gonna, I'm just taking this guy out with Kuki because I don't really want to waste any of my abilities on that churl. So, alright, so we go Albedo into Kuki, 3 hits, Peak Patrol Song, Bennett, and then Kirara Burst. As you can see there, we get a non-crit initial hit, but all of the extra little guys are bursting. Thank you guys very much for today. I hope you guys have a good one, and let me know your thoughts below.